They use LinkedIn as not as a tool, as a resume.
You need to be networking when you don't need to be networking.
Whatever a job seeker feels right now, I have been through from all those challenges.
You planted the seed, the tree blossomed, and you were able to pick up the fruit once the time was needed.
Hang out with new people because it's gonna help you a lot.
All right, welcome to this episode of the How to Get a Job podcast. Super excited for today's topic because today we are going to be talking about how to get a job in Canada for recent grads, in particular if you are an international student, because I have an amazing guest. I have Urvish Patel. Urvish Patel was an international student in Canada. He's currently in Toronto. He's a co-founder of Orbit 5, which is an amazing company that helps job seekers get jobs in Canada. And he's also a professor at Centennial College. Urvish, welcome. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing amazing, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing well. Urvish, man, would love to hear a little bit more about what do you think helps individuals in Canada get a job that maybe they're not doing?
Okay, so what I have seen in Canada's international student is they are least focused on their personal brand.
Mm.
They use LinkedIn as not as a tool, as a resume. LinkedIn is the great way to create your social personal brand in job search, and they're not using it properly. So yeah, that's it.
That makes sense, and I actually think that's something that it's also true in America, where we're assuming that just because you have a lot of qualifications, you might have a lot of experience back home, that's going to lead to you getting a lot of jobs. And the reality is, like in the U.S., your personal brand, your network, your relationships, that visibility aspect of it is actually really important to get you to the interview stage, because you can have the best resume in the world, but if you're not networking, if you're not if you're not building your personal brand, if you're not getting that visibility required, then you're never going to be able to have the opportunity to prove your ability.
Absolutely, Daniel. And you won't believe, how many jobs I applied throughout my career. I got a job at Home Depot, RBC, and then job as a professor at one of the best institute in Canada. Just imagine how the number of jobs I applied, it's zero. I always got a job because of my personal brand and the network.
So obviously that sounds great. Like, when you hear like, oh, Urish, I want to be like you, get multiple job offers as an international student, applying to zero. What's the catch? Like, okay, like that's easy for you to say, like, but if I am just maybe been in the country for less than a year, I don't have relationships, I don't have family members, I don't have friends, where do I even start?
So you always start with the person around you. Doesn't matter if you are traveling in the bus, the person around you, they might know someone. So start talking to them. My RBC job, I got it because one day I was shoveling my driveway, and my neighbor was senior manager at RBC, and we started talking about weather and other things, and then it turned out to be he's a senior director in automation. I cultivate the relationship for next 2 years because I was still student at that time. We became really good friends, and the moment he started hiring, guess who he hired? Me.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I love that example because it really drives on the fact that, first of all, you need to be networking when you don't need to be networking. Like it's what you just said. Like, you were 2 years before you even graduated. You were open to building those relationships. You were cultivating that, and you weren't just going to people when you were desperate for a job to say, "Hey, I need a job now." You were essentially, you planted the seed, the tree blossomed, and you were able to pick up the fruit once the time was needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it should not be like anything professional as well, right? Like, for example, I was just shoveling my driveway, right?
Yeah.
Networking can happen anywhere. So know the person next to you. That's my best advice for the networking.
Urvish, but what if I say to you that, okay, great, I appreciate that advice, but I look at your Instagram, I follow your Instagram, and you're very outgoing. very friendly person. What if I'm not? What if I'm an introverted? I'm quiet. What if it's easy for you to do that, but it's not for me? What do you suggest? What do I do?
To be frank, I am the most introvert person you'll see it. Sometimes I just sit it around, but when it times to network, all you just need to do is open a big smile and say hi. That's it. Once you say hi, the another other person will open up anyways, right? And it took me a while to get that confidence. Sometimes you feel so nervous to do that, but just don't afraid to get rejected, right? It's like man dating, right? You just don't get your girl of your dream in one go.
Yeah, I love the idea of like just smile and say hi. I think the reality is like at least for me, like I've never met anybody that was born with natural networking abilities. Like I think we all learned that, like anything else, like riding a bike, like dating, like going to school, like there's levels to this, and it takes practice, and you got to put yourself out there, and no one can be a pro from day one. And if you never start, you're never going to be able to get good at it. You just have to put yourself out there. And I don't know about you, but for me, I found that finding commonality is a really good way to keep the relationship going. Like yeah, you said hi, they said hi back, and you're like, what do I do next? And to me, it's always trying to make it about them and finding commonality. We'd love to hear what are some advice, some tips that you share with your mentees, with your clients, with your community to get networking moving along, to get networking, to go from networking to actually like relationship building.
For sure, for sure. So finding a commonality, right? It depends on like the setting of the particular nature. For example, let's say like if you met someone in the bus, then you can ask them, right? Like, hey, where are you going? What you do? Right? Because you both are using the same route, right? And then ask them, right? Like, hey, are you using taking this bus every day or not? If you met someone in the event, then ask them questions about event, right? Like how they know the organizers, how they found out about the event, and pick up like those clues, right? Small clues, and they keep the conversation going. And sometimes what happens. Okay, hi Daniel, how are you? Dad will be like, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. No, that's not the answer. I'm good. Thank you for asking. What do you think about this event?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. You talked about an event, and I wanted to share with the audience a little hack that I kind of like have thought of that we tell our clients to do. And whenever you go into a live event, even if it's like a career fair, get there 30 minutes early. And the reason why you want to get there 30 minutes early, you want to get there 30 minutes early and you want to go and find the organizer. Someone's put in that event, right? Someone is freaking out, running around, trying to get this table organized, putting the chairs here, making sure the food is there, making sure the people know what to do, making sure the name tags. So you find the person freaking out and just offer to help. Just be like, hey, happen to get here early. How can I help you? Put up this table here. Put up the chairs here. Awesome. Here's why. One, first, you added value to them. Second, that organizer now feels like they owe you. And third, they probably know the most people there. Is their event. Do you know how much work it takes to put up an event? Do you know how many people he probably called, texted, reminded? Like, so that when you start the event and you start networking and you want to be introduced, or you realize you see someone with a name tag that says, okay, Urvish, Home Depot, or Urvish, professor at Centennial College, you can go to the organizer and be like, hey, do you happen to know that person? Would you mind introducing me? It's super simple hack. It works every time. Go try it.
Actually, it remind me of one of my stories. So there is a meetup group over here in Toronto. It's called Google Developers Group, and they do like study jam for cloud
Yep.
computing. So one day I met the organizer in the TTC. TTC is like our software, right? Like I'm
Yep.
not sure what you call it in US, but in Toronto for us it's TTC. I met them in Subway, and we were just having chat, and he's like, hey, you are in IT, come over. I went there 1 hour early, right? And then I was like, okay, what you need to do, just let me know, right? Like, and I started like helping him to putting all the things together and everything, right? At the event, everyone was participating. I was just like on my feet helping him throughout the day. After event, I just asked him, hey, like these guest speakers, I would love to like chat with them if you can just introduce me. And they introduced me right now. The person was keynote speaker in Orbit Five's previous event, and he is a partner of IBM partner for North America.
That's amazing, amazing. Wish one thing that you had mentioned is that you got a lot of job offers without really applying. And obviously that sounds really great. And when you're looking at it, I think to me sometimes, and I don't know if this happened to me, sometimes I when I try to compare myself to others, like all it does is cause anxiety. But the more I realize, and the more, and I'm willing to bet, right, that even though the story sounds amazing, you still face many challenges, right? I would love to learn a little bit more about some of the challenges that you encounter as a job seeker so that the audience can say like, hey, no matter if you look at somebody like Ulrich who's super successful, who's a co-founder of an amazing company, who's worked at amazing organizations, his life seems perfect, but I'm willing to bet it's not because I'm yet to meet someone whose life is perfect. So would you mind sharing some of your story, your journey, your challenges, and maybe some of the learning lessons that the audience can take away from it?
For sure, man. What I would say, my life over here, it was a roller coaster, right? It was not a straight path. When I came here, of course, I had a family, so I had a support over here, but they didn't have the network in IT. They know a lot of people in manufacturing, other businesses, and other businesses, but not in IT. So I had to like create the network from scratch. Another thing, I had a language barrier at that time because my English was not that great at that time. Now, okay, it's been years, so I started. It's good now, but at that time it was not that great. Third thing, I got like thick accent at that time, and I still have an accent, and I'm not saying it's a barrier. I embrace my accent, but for quite a few time it gave me like huge depression and imposter syndrome.
Hmm.
Also lack of experience, so everything, right? Like whatever a job seeker feels right now, I have been through from all those challenges, man.
Yeah, yeah. And what advice do you have for people that maybe are feeling, anxiety, depression, maybe feeling down, maybe feeling they're not good enough, maybe feeling they lack experience, maybe feeling they lack connections? What advice would you give them about like overcoming that, or at least starting to overcome that, and kind of be able to find themselves with a job?
So first thing I would say, open up, right? Like, because I'm not sure about other culture, but in Indian culture, people think that like, okay, if you have depression, if you are talking to the therapist, it's a bad thing. First of all, it's not bad thing. I still talk to the therapist every week. So open up about it. Another thing is make friends. S I think you froze. Oh.
I'm here.
Second thing, make friends. Go out with open up your social horizon and hang out with new people because it's gonna help you a lot. The only thing, the way like I overcome from my depression is just by making friends and being open about it. And always, right, like work out, do good things, right, like that feels good for you inside, so do those things. Third thing, self-care. Take care of yourself, embrace yourself, and pamper yourself, I would say, right? Like, because do whatever things, right, like you like to do it to make you feel good. For some people it's exercise, for some people it's reading books, for some people it's a beauty treatment. Just do it, right? Because if you feel good from inside, it will all go away.
Yeah, yeah, no, love it, love it. Urish, what as we wrap it off, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, what Orbit Five is all about, and if people want to learn more about your services, how can they get a hold of you? How can they learn more? What would be the next steps?
For sure. So, as we mentioned before, Orbit 5 is a career coaching company. We train students to land their dream job and within 15 weeks. So, we have our program, Get Hired, a hire program. It's mainly focused on your job search, and we're gonna give you basically a personal assistant for your job search. They'll do like all the heavy lifting for your job search. They're gonna plan out your job search project, your networking, and everything for you. So basically, it's gonna speed up your process. The way you're gonna find out is I'm gonna share my website link with you, Daniel, and if you can
Yeah, we'll put it
uh,
on the show notes. Yep.
on the show. And if you guys wanted to reach me out, you can follow me on my Instagram, the Professor Patel, or my LinkedIn, Urvish Patel.
Amazing. So what we'll do is that we're gonna go ahead and put Urish LinkedIn as well as Orbit Fi's website and his Instagram here. So if you are interested in learning more, if you're interested just to wanted to say like what are the great offers and services they offer, that would be the best place to do it. Look, if you're listening to this, if you find value in this podcast, please make sure you like and subscribe. Refer this podcast to a friend that might be looking for a job, might be dealing with anxiety, maybe wants they're in Canada and they're looking to get a job, this will be the episode for them. Again, thank you all so much for listening. Urish, thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thank you, Daniel.